tonight, a man stabbed to death, allegedly trying to protect his friend from her ex-partner. A major fire emergency as a petrol tanker explodes into flames. A New York garbage truck driver charged over the death of an Australian tourist. And why some of the lowest-ranking high school graduates are being accepted into teaching degrees.
This is NBN News with Jane Goldsmith.
Good evening. He was just trying to protect his friend, but his good deed cost him his life. A man was stabbed during a fight outside a home in Sydney's west, his alleged attacker leaving him on the road to die. An accused killer in tears, weeping as he's hauled from his home in handcuffs. This was Nathan Chitimba in happier times with his former partner Cassie Sanders. Police say their relationship broke down after a series of domestic violence incidents. Things escalated during a visit to Cassie's house in St Clair last night. Screams were heard as the mother was allegedly assaulted. She sent a text to her friend Ben Abigatoa begging for help, but when her hero arrived, he came under attack.
The patient had wounds all over his body.
The 34-year-old died in the middle of the cul-de-sac. When police turned up, his alleged killer had fled.
I came out the front, there was police cars everywhere.
2 hours later, officers tracked Chitimba down to a home only streets away, arresting and charging him with Ben's murder. Ben has been described as a knight in shining armour after he came here to Dutch Place to help Cassie. His family and friends say he was the kind of person who was always willing to lend a hand. The woman he died trying to protect was today distraught. She packed up and moved in with neighbours. Her ex-boyfriend didn't bother to come up from the cells in court. He'll remain in one until his next appearance in October. Tiffany Genders, NBN News. The driver of a garbage truck that hit and killed a Tasmanian tourist in New York has been charged with drink driving. 23-year-old Madison Lydon was cycling in a bike lane without a helmet when a taxi pulled in front of her, forcing her to veer into traffic. Lawyers for the driver say he wasn't influenced by alcohol because he ate a chicken sandwich before getting behind the wheel. Dry grass, tanks of diesel and fire don't mix. And overnight the three combined to create a fierce inferno that engulfed a truck in Marsden Park in Sydney's northwest. Firefighters are now trying to work out how it started, but think it may have been deliberately lit.
With plenty of petrol. This prime tanker quickly engulfed by fire. A loud whistle and a whoosh of flames are warning for firefighters to get back. It was a battle on two fronts, with fire snaking away from the prime mover, dry grass and strong winds a further fuel source, spreading the flames quickly around the paddock. For 2 hours, crews were up against it, eventually coming out on top.
The two fuel tanks on the prime mover were ruptured. Now, firefighters did provide fire protection and used foam to make sure that there would be no cause for concern and no further explosions.
A firebug could be to blame for this inferno, which luckily was stopped just in time.
It was a very quick and good save by firefighters.
The charred remains of the truck and tank now the biggest clue to finding out who is responsible.
A mini-election campaign and summits to tackle Australia's energy crisis. It's been a busy winter break for many of our politicians. They're flying into Canberra this evening ahead of the first day of Parliament, where Bill Shorten will be celebrating a change of fortune. Despite how it looks in the capital, the cold months aren't over, but the parliamentary winter break is. Welcome back to Canberra. And Bill Shorten will return with a spring in his step.
My Labor colleagues and I are excited to get back to Canberra.
The Labor leader started the break on a low, with 4 by-elections looming and talk of a leadership challenge. Tomorrow, he'll be back with his 4 winning MPs by his side.
It's going to be a very momentous occasion tomorrow. We're incredibly honoured and privileged to be back.
But the focus is now on the government and whether it can get its prized energy plan passed by its own MPs.
I'm confident that come Tuesday, my colleagues will again move forward to the next stage with the National Energy Guarantee.
You've got a former Prime Minister and a former Deputy Prime Minister openly saying that they're prepared to cross the floor against their own party's policies. It's chaos.
This is said to be a crucial week for the government and the future of Australia's energy policy, which the Prime Minister and his Energy Minister will need to focus on. But the matter of a $500 million government grant for a private charity just won't go away, with the Labor Party demanding answers. The Great Barrier Reef Foundation received the money for conservation work. Labor says it should have gone to tender.
It is extraordinary that the government has handed over almost $500 million of taxpayers' money to an organisation that didn't even ask for it and doesn't really know what to do with it just yet.
The Great Barrier Reef Foundation is a very reputable organisation. When we announced the $500 million commitment, it was welcomed by Tanya Plibersek.
It's been a winter break from Parliament, but not from politics. NBN News. A Hunter resident continues to make a big difference for farmers across the northwest, collecting donations from almost 30 locations throughout the region. Now Michael Daly is completing his 13th round trip to Tamworth, delivering more than $40,000 worth of goods.
Crates upon crates showing farmers we care.
The vast majority of Newcastle have been absolutely outstanding. It's just been an incredible journey.
Just last month, Michael Daly helped set up the Newey Farmers Aid Facebook page. It attracted a groundswell of support, with all 28 donation stations across Newcastle, Maitland and Port Stephens inundated with non-perishable goods. To date, he's filled 828 milk crates, trying to make a small but worthwhile difference.
These farmers are very, very good business people. They choose to be farmers. They didn't choose this drought.
Reaching out to mates, now the Mark Hughes Foundation has donated 2,000 beanies for the next delivery.
We need passion. We need people that really care about our mates. These guys up here, on the other side of these mountains, are our mates. We need awareness, and I'm not going to stop until we get awareness. And I'm not going to stop until we get what the farmers deserve.
Samantha Long, NBN News.
Medowie residents have also dug deep, raising thousands for our farmers at a community fair today. The festivities included a car and bike show, petting zoo and, appropriately, a shearing demonstration. Known as Bail Out the Drought, the event was organised by Ben Nyland and Chris Doohan, who saw the situation facing producers firsthand earlier this year.
I came back through towns like Bathurst and Carcoar and Lithgow, and it was just diabolical. There's just no feed there.
We're at about 30,000 at the moment, and we're hoping after the end of today that 50,000 is in reach.
All proceeds were donated to rural aid. Southwest Queensland residents are on high alert, with a spate of fast-moving grass fires sweeping towards homes. Residents in almost 30 homes have been told to prepare to leave as flames continue to be fanned by strong winds. Water bombers were called in this afternoon as backup for almost 100 firefighters. The Hunter wine industry is known around the world, particularly for its Chardonnay and Semillon varieties. But until now, its history has been bottled up between a handful of prominent families who are about to embark on a journey to document their wine-making past.
A toast to history. Celebrating Australia's oldest continuing wine region, the first vines dating back to 1867.
We really are the repository of a lot of original grapevine material in Australia.
Until now, that history has been passed down through a handful of Hunter dynasties. History about to be captured through a $100,000 state government grant to map our winemaking heritage.
The Hunter Valley wine industry supports nearly 3,000 jobs. A big part of that is understanding that the wines are about 160 years old or older.
And that understanding closes a critical gap in the region's wine tourism market, an industry competing against 14 other regions to contribute $500 million to the Hunter economy each year.
We know that if we can get this story told well, it will bring other visitors to the region as well.
The major focus of the heritage mapping will be centred on pre-1968 plots. The reason? That was the year a once-in-a-generation stock market boom happened. And if you didn't own a winery, you hadn't made it.
In the late 60s, if you were in the right part of society and one didn't have a share in a vineyard, you weren't really socially acceptable. So this area just exploded.
But with the explosion came an influx of introduced varieties.
During that explosion, the vine material could have come from anywhere. So 1968 and older was what I selected, because those vines would have been planted in the vast majority from cuttings from things that were already here.
A rich history worth bottling for future generations. Stephen Mount, NBN News.
For the next few weeks, wildlife lovers have the opportunity to get up close and personal with one of Australia's most misunderstood animals. Oakvale Wildlife Park's 5 female dingo pups are now taking visitors, with keepers hoping it will change attitudes toward the species.
Enjoying a Sunday morning snooze when we arrived, the sisters needed some prompting to venture outside.
They're too adorable.
Currently nameless, the month-old pups are beginning to explore their surroundings.
They are starting to get a lot more adventurous and coming out and playing with everybody.
You can tell some have been watching their parents closely, while others are discovering things for themselves. Regardless, the group is already melting hearts and changing minds during close encounters like this one.
They don't eat a lot of livestock and they control our pest numbers, so they will actually go for things like feral cats and foxes, so they are a really helpful species. And it is just unfortunate that they do look similar to feral dogs and have got a bad reputation. All the people we've had come through so far, they always say, oh, I've always been really shy of dingoes, I've heard they're terrible creatures, and we completely changed their minds, which is great.
Parents Gilly and Hunter are from the Australian Dingo Foundation Sanctuary. Their pups will eventually move there in order to preserve the species.
These guys only stay with us for about 12 weeks or so, and then they're off.